Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome to my channel. I'm making another video on the EA thing just one more time and then I'll try to stop beating this dead horse, at least as long as it stays down and dead, because I have read some more stories and I heard a lot of YouTubers who posted videos, some of them who I respect and listen quite often. And I'm glad a lot of them shared my opinion. This is a victory, but one that needs to be done with very cautious optimism. And here's why. We're still dealing with EA. There is no plans on actually changing the game or really fixing the problem. And that might be the biggest problem here, okay? So here is my advice. Wait a few weeks before purchasing this game if you're into Star Wars, okay? I can understand that, and if they fix it, I might consider purchasing it. Another thing I want to talk about this video, and I guess I'll get to it right now, about boycotting EA. A part of a boycott isn't about wishing for the company to go under. That's not why you boycott. If you're going around saying you wish EA is going under or that you're never going to purchase an EA game again, then you're not really boycotting and no one's going to listen to you from said company because you're going to be unreasonable. What a boycott is a whole bunch of would-be customers or current customers saying that because you did something in their eyes that is completely unethical or immoral, and EA's list of doing things like that runs about 10 miles long, so it's not hard to pick one. We're not purchasing this or anything from you until we have proof that you have changed your ways and that you are indeed listening to us. Now, yesterday I thought maybe the EA was listening just a little bit and maybe wouldn't go with their usual hubris. I have doubts. There was some good news though, and a lot of the things that may have led to them changing that game just a little bit was an actual outcry from Disney, who owns the Star Wars IP now. And they may have been responsible either because they think it's immoral, which is probably doubtful, or they don't necessarily like to see this much hate generated towards their IP. Anyways, as I was saying before I leave this off, boycott with an idea in your mind about what you would do to buy an EA game. What would EA have to prove to you before you purchase them? To me, they'd have to prove that they're actually willing to sell me a complete game again, a game that has, for the most part, worth $60 and doesn't try to nickel and dime me, and prove to me that they have some ethics towards their development staffs and towards their customers. I'm not touching them until then. Anyways, back to my point I was making about the game. If EA is actually really going to fix this mess that's in their game, they got two options, and both of them will take a bit of doing to do just because of the nature of the game. The first one, which is the one I'm hoping for, will definitely take a lot of time and money from EA, and don't expect it fixed for a few months. If they come out and saying it's the microtransaction purchases are going to be done in for a few months and there's not going to be any way to really progress in the game for a few months, here are some of the ideas, that means they're actually meaning to fix the game. They're actually listening to the community, okay? When they come forward asking for advice, showing off their plans, and just telling you what they're going to do after this controversy, it means they have been humbled and they're not showing off their hubris, hopefully. Another thing they can do, which is also likely, is to keep the microtransactions and keep the pay-to-win plans in, just like a free-to-play game, and guess what? Actually make it free-to-play. Start giving refunds to those who spent $60. Of course, if you bought a boxed retail game and didn't keep your receipt, you might be screwed, but you know, you can give them out that way too. Both of those are decent ideas. But I don't think that's what EA is going to do, because One thing that I've learned from EA over the last 10 years of just watching them, just listening to the critics, just playing their games, and just seeing what they do, is they're full of hubris. And I keep using that word for those who don't know what it means. It pretty much means they're full of arrogance and full of crap, basically. It's a combination of those two things. So when I say they're full of hubris, I mean they're literally full of it. And EA still probably going to come back and show that. If EA waits until the cover is down, waits a few weeks until it's too late for the majority of players, because video games make most of their money the first 2 or 3 weeks, so if they wait a month, they can get the people who bought those games, especially those who bought them digitally, they can get that money, and then they can start shoveling out the loot boxes, the gambling, and the pay-to-win crap without having to fix anything. And if the controversy blows over, well, their stock prices go up because their investors are happy again. Here's what I hope happens if that does happen. Now, I'm just a small channel. I mean, chances are this video will probably get in between 10 to 20 hits if I'm lucky, okay? This is a hobby for me, and I'm not looking to lead a boycott. But I hope other game journalists, and I know a few, and I'm subscribed to a few, do look at this, and I hope they lead a boycott. And I really do mean that. I mean, a serious boycott, not a... I'm not going to buy an EA game because EA is annoying. A serious boycott, like pressure on Disney, pressure on the NFL, pressure on anybody who does business with EA to pull their licenses and their IPs from them. Make it so that if you do any business with EA, you're going to lose money because people aren't going to trust you or buy your crap as long as you're in bed with EA. And make it that way until they learn, okay? As I stated before in another video, they listen mostly to their investors, to their stockholders, and as I said before, they do have a place in the table. They do invest their money. EA does need to listen to them. Problem comes when you start destroying your employees, start destroying your customer base in favor of your investors, because yes, the investors have the most money, but they're fair weather friends. They're not going to stick by you folks when the crap hits the fan. They'll bolt. And that's what we kind of already seen. They lost like 2% of their stock in one day. By no means the worst fall in the history of the stock market, but it's still a pretty big hit over something that could have been completely avoided if EA actually just listened to their customers and used their goddamn head. Unfortunately, they didn't. So, like I said, just pay attention to the story. Don't go out buying the game yet until EA tells us exactly how they're going to fix the situation, if they're going to fix their situation, and shows that they do have some humility in them, and that they do understand that they're not entitled to their customers' money. They have to provide something of value. And until they do, I'm not going to buy it from them. Like I said, if they fix the Star Wars game, show they have humility, they might have a potential buyer in me. But I don't think so. EA's too arrogant. I've heard they haven't always been that way, and just looking at the quality of their games from the early aughts and the late 90s, where they were really superb, yeah, they're not that anymore. They're not that company anymore. So, like I said, don't go buying that Star Wars game just yet, just because they pulled the microtransactions. It's too early to congratulate them. They haven't fixed a damn thing, and I still don't think they're listening to us. So just be patient. Anyways, this is Tommy the Game Master, promising you I won't talk about this topic probably for another week or two until there are some actual new developments. But don't trust EA.